The property industry post the Christchurch earthquakes has had a bit of a shake-up. A lot of these earthquakes have instigated a lot of additional assessment that wouldn't have otherwise been done maybe quite so quickly. And what has most often come out of those assessments is that these buildings aren't quite as good as what they thought they were. Now, in addition to the code being adjusted, that meant that there was actually a higher demand for us in order to get to that 100% mark, and the tenants know all about this. And the tenants are therefore demanding of landlords that we achieve a certain number so that they can give full comfort to not only the staff but also I guess the public about the way in which that building would perform in a potential earthquake. So from our perspective, our target was always going to be 100% because we weren't going to go into this building and into this sort of repair without coming out as best we can possibly be. So our target was 100. In supermarkets is tremendously difficult no matter which way you look at it. One, for the hygiene reasons, and that was the key thing for the bakery and the meats area, was that if we were going to go start drilling holes in floors, we were going to be redoing a lot of that area, in which case we'd be taking them out of action for a fairly significant period of time. So we worked obviously with Mainmark in that regard to looking at the way in which we'd be improving the ground and injecting under to relevel without having any impact on the hygiene areas whatsoever. And yeah, so we knew that getting underneath those areas would require it being angled. We were informed of later that they did have to make specific apparatus to do that. But by all accounts it worked, and they did a very, very good job of that because, again, we didn't have to do any remedial works to any of their hygiene areas, and I think that was much to the surprise of the supermarket tenant in the first place. So again, a very, very positive outcome in that regard. And the structural engineer had indicated that the structure would be able to be retrofitted to achieve 100%, and that would therefore hinge on what we could get the soil, I guess, improved in order to prevent us having to downgrade the strength. And that's normally by virtue of preventing or mitigating liquefaction effects. But we were able to test it the whole way through. So that again gave our structural engineer a lot of confidence at the end, being able to say, hey, look, our structure's fine, but we know we don't necessarily have these liquefaction effects, or that we've at least mitigated at best all of them, or as much as we can, and therefore that building is rated 100% NBS. And that's been reflected post that by our tenants being charged the rents for a 100% NBS building, at the same time preventing and potentially mitigating any effects of liquefaction thereafter. And that's been, the outcome of that, we've had some shakes since and there's been absolutely no effect, like zero effect noticed. And in actual fact, we've even done surveys post doing these works to try and establish whether or not there's been any effects of these subsequent shakes, and there's been none. So we would suspect that even our own due diligence of what's been done, we think that evidence is suggesting that work has done something more than what we'd expected.